Hello patrons, and welcome to another lesson. Today I'm going to be talking about comping and the rhythmic aspect of comping and how to get started. So this video is really more for beginners, maybe for somebody who doesn't play a lot of jazz piano and is getting started. Or if you're a band director and you want to get your students, getting them started and some exercises they can do to kind of hone those comping skills. Now there is another video as far as voicings, because with comping you have different aspects of it. You have the rhythmic, you have the voicings, which is what notes you choose for that chord, and then also how you comp, with a soloist or a singer. There's different ways, but today we're only going to be focusing on the rhythmic aspect of it. So there is another video with 4-finger voicings that I've posted on the Patreon website, so I would check that one out first, because we're going to be using those voicings for today's exercise. So let's review. In that video we played a 1-6-2-5 chord progression in the key of C, C, A, D, G. So the chord progression that we use there is a C major 7 voiced this way, E, A, D, G. Then the next chord, an A7 alt, or an A7 with a 13 and a flat 9. And then next a D7 sharp 9, there's the sharp 9. And then a G7 13 with the flat 9. So those are the same voicings that we're going to use for today's exercise. And notice I'm only using those 4-finger voicings still. So one thing that I've given students when exercise is having a chord progression that is 4 bars, where each chord is 1 bar. Meaning your first bar is C major 7, your second bar is that A7, third bar is that D7, and then fourth bar is that G7. And having this 4-bar chord progression, maybe played at a loop. And what I've done so that they can get started with the rhythmic aspect of comping is do an exercise where they play downbeats every other bar. And so for example, you would play a downbeat on the C major 7, and then on the A7 just whatever they're feeling while the music is going on. And then on that D7 comping on the downbeat, and then on the G7 just whatever they're feeling. I've tried this exercise where I have them play also on the downbeat at the beginning, and then the next measure on the upbeat, and that could work. It just depends from student to student. For today we'll just do on the downbeat every other bar. So let me demonstrate that. And the reason that this is such a good exercise is that it keeps the student engaged in the form. And form is going to be a crucial part of their development when they're learning about this music. And it'll help them not get lost. That's what happens a lot of times. The students will get lost because they're thinking so much about the chords and when to place them, and they almost get this kind of tunnel vision going. So having them play on the downbeat every once in a while kind of solidifies that they're staying in the form. So here's that exercise. Let's go 100 beats per minute. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Seems kind of monotonous, but I think once they get comfortable with the muscle memory of it, because there is a muscle memory aspect of it, because they're playing it in time. Maybe they've learned voicings, but when you get to playing in time, a lot of times at the beginning, it's hard to go from chord to chord, and that might be a little bit quick for them starting off. So whatever tempo works for them is obviously best. So that's one exercise you can do, and then from that exercise you can break that down to have them play only upbeats on every other bar, forcing them to play upbeats. The one thing you don't want to do is kind of like close them to a box so much that they don't internalize the music, So just giving them a little bit of structure, I think that kind of exercise, I think that's not too much, and it actually helps out in the long run, I think. One thing also, so for the rhythmic aspect of it, if you start changing some of these chords and the quality of the chords, for example, the A7, you notice this has two extensions. It's got the 13th, the flat 9. If you wanted to maybe change one of these extensions, for example, a 9, and throw that into the mix and then have them play that voicing, that's a really good way to get them to have the muscle memory building. I played that on the downbeat, but and then doing the same thing for some of the other chords as well. You can start changing some of these extensions. You notice for the D7, you have a sharp 9, but if you make it a regular 9 maybe, so maybe now you've thrown in two different chords that they're going to be using. So now you're teaching them about voicings and rhythmic aspect of it as well. So that exercise really works well with the student. You can do a 4-bar thing. You could do an 8-bar thing, where the first two chords are the C major 7, and the next two chords the A7, and so on. You could do a 16-bar exercise. So it would be good to maybe chart out a lead sheet and have different lengths of the form and have them do the exercise. Or if they wanted to dive right in, which I highly encourage it, start playing jazz standards, especially with a group. Starting off with a simple standard, not a lot of chords, and have them play that exercise. Not worry about the melody right now, because we'll tackle that later. But that's one exercise that I've used, the 1-6-2-5, and then doing that in different keys too. If you start going to different keys, it really starts to build a muscle memory. So that's a big part of it, is building a muscle memory so that they don't have to think about the chord initially. You want to get to a point where you can just see what's on the page, and you don't have to worry about what voicing to use. To an extent, obviously there is in the moment kind of decision making. But I hope that helps. Let me know your questions. The other thing with this exercise also is different styles. If you play like a bossa nova, I don't have the backing track here for that, but just playing the same kind of thing, where you play on the downbeat, one measure, and maybe on the upbeat on a bossa nova, and then that starts to teach him a little bit of the stylistic traits of the music. So let me know what you think about the video. There will be more videos to come. Comping is a very in-depth topic. So there's the rhythmic, there's the voicings, and we'll dive into that later. But thanks for watching, and see you guys later.